So if you do search and recovery or search and rescue and you're using a Humminbird Helix, watch this video because I will take you through and make it so simple where it'll turn on every time the right way and you will not struggle with a lot of different menus and a lot of complications. It's really easy. Hey folks, Archer here from Underdog Dive, and I want to, like you can tell, I am actually not on the water today. I'm on my boat in the woods near my house where I store the boat. It's really windy out, so I'm just going to leave the cover on, and I'm going to take you through setting up your Helix. Now, Helix is, the Humminbird Helix is an amazing tool. It's really great for search and recovery, search and rescue, but it's not necessarily really great for those things right out of the box. Fishing. Thank God for fishing, right? Fishing is a huge industry and it allows these consumer grade side scan sonars to be available to us for just a couple $1,000s. But it is set up for fishing, and so you're going to want to set up your unit definitely in a different way than a normal fisherman's going to want it. So I'm going to give you a cheat sheet today on it. I'm going to set up my unit just like I reset all the factory settings, and we're going to set it up from scratch to be the simplest, easiest to use tool that you can imagine. Once I was at Cabela's, and I've always liked Humminbird products. I feel like they're really straightforward. They're really good technology. But I was talking to the salesman at Cabela's, and he was telling me he hates Humminbird because it's too complicated, and he just can't even navigate through it. And you know what? He's right. But Humminbird does that for a reason, so you know you have all these things. It's up to you to go through and turn off the things you're not going to use. There are potentially 27 screens to scroll through to get to what you want if you don't know how to do this. So it's really easy to do that. It just takes a little bit of time. I've reset my unit here to factory settings, so I'm just going to turn it on, and we're going to, I'm going to show you how to make this into a side imaging search machine. You're going to love it, and it's going to be so simple because I know that if you're working for an agency, you're not a side scan sonar geek like I am probably, and that's okay. I'm going to take you through and give you a cheat sheet. So here we go. So it's starting up. We're just going to let it roll right through. One thing I want to tell you is definitely update your software. It's easy to do. There's an SD card in the side of the unit right here. You can go on any computer and download the latest software for your unit. It definitely makes a difference. I had an older unit, and I waited a couple of years before I updated the software. It was a completely different capability machine when I updated it. It had things that it had functions that weren't even there on the original. Anyway, check that and make sure you're using the most up-to-date. So here we go. We're going to hit exit. Now, the first screen that comes up is going to be, it's going to ask for your language. Obviously, I'm speaking English. So water type. The only thing about water type here is it's going to tell you different fish because this is a fishing machine. So if you say deep water, it's going to do this fish identifying thing. It's really nothing. It doesn't actually change how the transducer works in saltwater versus freshwater. That's a bunch of BS. And then it's going to say the connected transducer, which is the hardwired one and the Mega SI. So now we're going to hit exit. Okay, so now here I just started it up, so I'm going to show you all the screens that are going to pop up. I'm not even going to talk through it. Now remember, I'm on the boat in the driveway, or in the, not in the water, so you're not seeing any data. Let's go all the way through this. So many screens, so many options. All right, I think we're back to where we started. Okay. So what I'm going to want here is how to turn all these off. So what we're going to do is, and fundamental to Humminbird is, if you don't have the touchscreen unit, which the Helix is not, and I think that's fine, is this is the menu button. So the menu button on any tool you're on, if you hit the menu once, it gives you the toolbox just for that tool. If you hit the menu twice, it's going to give you the bigger, like the main menu. You back up one level, right? Okay, so here's what we're going to do to turn off all these views. So we're just going to have, I'm going to give you 3 views that you're going to want for your agency, or your, if you're doing salvage diving, if you're doing any kind of searching, you're going to want SI, side imaging, you're going to want nav, whole screen nav, and then you're going to want SI nav. 1, 2, 3, so easy. So let's go in and turn off everything else. So if you see on the main menu, we're going to go to the eyeball at the top. It says Views, and we are going to go through and turn off. We're going to turn off 2D. We're going to turn off Big Digits View. We're going to turn off down imaging. We're going to leave side imaging. We're going to turn off DI 2D. We're just going to turn off everything hidden. Oops, let's see, hidden. Chart view, definitely. So far I've got SI view visible. I've got chart view visible. I'm going to leave everything hidden. Some things are automatically hidden and visible. So if they're already hidden, just leave them hidden. Okay, hidden. Okay, chart SI, that's the third one. So we've got SI, we've got chart view, and we've got chart SI. That's all you need. Everything else is going to be hidden. Self-test hidden. So GPS diagnostic view, sometimes I leave this on. If you're working in super murky conditions, like if you're in a river or a lake, which is just zero visibility, the GPS diagnostic view can be an interesting reference point, because sometimes, because of whatever atmospheric, solar, or military activity, they can up or degrade the GPS. And so you're going to want to know, if you're really looking for something small and you have to find it exactly based on visibility, it really helps to know, if are you 40 feet off that day, or are you 10 feet off that day, or are you 3 feet off that day. I've seen all of those things. So, but I'll hide it for now. Just know that that can be an important thing. And snapshot and recording view, I'm going to make that invisible. We'll talk about that one later. So now I've gone through. So, and I have three things visible. SI view. Should be chart view. There it is. Chart view visible. And chart SI visible. Okay, so now I hit exit to go out, exit twice. So now here's my side imager. And you're not seeing anything now because I'm not in the water. That's fine. So now we're going to go to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So there's 3 buttons on the side here. There's 1, 2, 3. They're not numbered. They're just 3 buttons. First one, I'm going to hold it in and I'm going to set that. There it is, shortcut saved. Next, I'm going to go to my next view, which is going to be my nav page. I'm going to do the same for the second. Hold it. And I'm going to go to the third one. I'm going to hold the third button. All right. You have just built yourself an amazing search and recovery tool. All that other stuff you're not going to use, all right? Because fishing, you know, fishing is, you have a whole different set of needs, right? In fishing, you're going to want to see what is in the water, what's the depth hardness, what's the water temperature. We get rid of all that stuff. When you're looking for something, you know that you just need your side imager and you need to know where you are. So, we can also tweak the side imaging a little bit. So let's dive into that. Remember I said that when you're in a tool, if you hit menu once, so now I'm back in side imager and I just did that by hitting my shortcut that I just put in. So now if I hit menu one time, then it gives me the toolbox just for that tool. Okay. So now I've got sensitivity, contrast, range. I've got all these things. I'm actually looking for something called SI Enhance, and it's not showing up. This is something really important because there's another toolbox you're not seeing. So right now, out of the factory, it comes set up fishing. We want to have a custom setup. So I'm going to take you through this. So we're going to go to hit exit and then hit menu twice and then go to the gear or the setup. All right, and we're going to user mode. Now user mode is set to angler, and that's how it's going to come from the factory. I want you to change that to custom. Okay, now you hit exit, get out of there, hit exit twice. So now I'm back inside Imager, and if I hit menu once, wow, I've got a whole new thing. It says SI Enhance. Okay, so now I come down to there. So remember, fishermen want to see what's under their boat. They care about the bottom because they care about cover for fish and, you know, bushes versus, you know, different things, the topography. But they're not looking at the bottom like we are as search and recovery people. They're looking at what's in the water column because that's where the fish live. The fish are either near the bottom or they're in the water column, but they're not really on the bottom like what we are. So when you first run your side imager, let's go back to side imager here, you're going to see that there is the water column. It's the black stripe in the middle. Now, I'm not showing it on my screen here because I'm not on the boat at the moment. I'm not in the water at the moment. But you will see that it has this black line down the middle, and the deeper you go, the wider that line gets, right? And it pushes off the bottom picture because it's actually looking at what is in the water column. So we want to get rid of that. It makes it really hard to read. A lot of people don't even understand that, how to read that, and I don't blame them. It takes a little mental gymnastics to imagine that you're seeing the water column, then you're seeing the bottom. So how to get rid of that? Let's go to under the side imager. Let's just hit menu once, and now that we have this enhance option, we're going to click it. And we're going to see here something called contour mode. Contour mode is going to, when you turn it on, it makes the water column disappear. It stitches the two sides together. So now when you think about your side imager, imagine there's a drone 100 feet up in the air behind your boat, and it's looking at everything the boat's just gone over. Right? So that's the simplest way to think of how side imaging works. And there's going to be another video here on being an expert side imager that I will talk about and really give you the instructions on how to use this fantastic tool. So that's one tool you're definitely going to want to use, is the contour mode. You're going to want to turn Angler user profile off and put on custom, then contour mode. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do, I think, makes it real easy. The side imager, remember, it goes to the starboard side, goes to the port side. And so often when you're looking for, you know, an accident victim, you're looking for evidence, you're looking for a wreck, you need to know how far away something was that you saw, but basically from the boat. You know it's behind you because you're imaging the area behind you generally, but now you're also going to want to have some kind of reference so you know it's like 60 feet or 100 feet off to the side. So the way to do that is these SI range lines. Go to, so back out of that, now we're going to hit menu twice, and we're going to go to our sonar. So the first one is alarms, then sonar is the one with the fish on it. We're going to go down to sonar, and we're going to scroll down through, and we're going to come down to SI range lines. So if you turn those on, all right, now when I go exit, look at that. So I'm set at 100 on my range right now. And so each of these lines in those 4 areas, so I know each one's going to be about 25 feet. First line, 25 feet to port, 50 feet, 75, 100. So that's a really great tool. So using contour mode and using the SI range lines is going to make your searching a lot simpler. All right, what else are we talking about here? So that's your basic setup. So now I have got this amazing machine that I can just turn it on. I have my first button is my side imager. My second button is going to be my my nav, and my third button is going to be my side imaging and nav. So if you don't have, and I'll talk about this in the expert side imager video, if you don't have a second unit, if you're just using one unit, this is your search mode, okay? You're going to use the one because you're going to want to see your pattern on the map, and you're going to want to see where you've searched and where you haven't, so you can do a thorough search. And I'll talk about how to steer the boat, how to plan out your search pattern, because that's expert side imaging is just a great set of tools. But we've set up your unit now. You shouldn't have any issues. One problem that I have seen, and I'll talk more about range in the next video, but if you are going along fine, your side imager is working, and all of a sudden it disappears, just black on both on port and starboard side, except for a little dotted line down the middle, what happened is you have set your range pretty narrowly, so you're not sending out a lot of acoustical energy, and the bottom has dropped away where it's no longer sufficient to get a reading. So that really confused me for the first year or so. I didn't know what was going on with my transducer. I kept trying to figure it out. So basically you just can go to, here's my side imager, I'm going to go to menu, I'm just going to go down to range and just increase your range until your image comes back, okay? So you're just putting out more energy. For some reason you had it set too narrowly, and now you were in 50 feet of water and you were getting a good return, and all of a sudden the bottom dropped away to 100 feet of water. And sometimes you don't even notice that, because when contour mode's turned off, you're not always really aware of the depth. Okay, so I'm going to now turn my unit off. And, all right, so my unit's off. I've set it up the way I want it. I've got the simplest side imaging package now, which is really amazing. So I'm just going to hold it, turn it on. Let it start up. Now, just one note. So I am here in the trailer on the boat while I set this up. I have 2 batteries on my boat, and I've got it definitely set to both at the moment, because this thing does use a good bit of energy, and it likes to have a good supply of energy, to the point where people recommend you don't wire this directly to the bus that's under your console, but you actually run a special heavier line back to the battery. And that's what I've done. I've created, because I've got a lot of sonar equipment and I've got an Ethernet setup, so I run I have basically a dedicated wire and a second whole bus panel just for sonar equipment. So if you're going to be doing this on your boat, on the trailer, and you're not running the engine, it is possible to run it down to the point where it's going to turn itself off from lack of voltage. So just be aware of that. All right, so here we are. It's running again. We're going to hit exit to continue. Now look at that. It goes right to side imager, right to side imager. And if I scroll through the views, it's got the first view was side imager, second one was nav, third one was nav and side imager, and I'm back. So it makes it so easy. Here's my hotkeys. 1, 2, 3, done. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It turns what's a very complicated fishing machine into a search and recovery machine. It makes it super easy to use. You don't have to have a master's degree in understanding sonars to do this. Although watch my next video, because I will dive in deeper of how to get good results with the side imaging. I'll make it easy for you and just cut out all the BS of what you don't need to understand. All right. Anything else we need to do? Please, if you have questions, put it in the comments. I'm happy to work with you if you have questions or comments. I'd love to hear, because this is a great machine. It's become just such a go-to thing for me as someone who searches, that I can't imagine life without it. All right, thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.